Be honest. How many times have you felt like proving yourself, like showing the world who you are, how strong you've become, how hard you've worked? It's tempting, right? But here's a secret the Stoics lived by. Real power doesn't need to announce itself. Real strength shows up in silence. You don't need applause to be valuable. You don't need validation to be powerful. You need purpose. You need presence. You need to keep your head down, do the work, and let the results echo so loud they speak for you. You don't have to flex. You just have to rise. The world is noisy. Everyone's broadcasting their highlights, selling their success, trying to look like they've made it. But you don't need to be part of that race. You're building something deeper, something real. That takes time and silence. That's where your edge lives, not in shouting, not in proving, but in becoming, quietly, relentlessly, with focus that cuts through distractions like a blade. You're not here to impress, you're here to improve. And you know what's beautiful about that? No one sees it coming. When you disappear into the grind, into the silence, into the inner war with yourself, that's when your future is being forged. And when you come back, you don't just return, you return stronger, ready to see how Stoics mastered this silent strength. Let's go deeper. The Stoics knew something most people today forget. Silence is not weakness, it's preparation. When you're quiet, people assume you're not doing much, but that's because they can't see the inner work, the rebuilding, the refining. They can't see how you're sharpening your thoughts, training your discipline, rewiring your focus. And you know what? They don't need to, because you're not building for them. You're building for you, for who you're becoming, for the life you know you're capable of living. And that means letting go of the need to perform. You're not on a stage, you're in the lab, the gym, the solitude. The Stoics did their work in silence and let the impact speak for them. That's what you're doing. While others post, you prepare. While they broadcast noise, you craft clarity. That's the game no one sees, and it's the only game that matters, because all the flash fades. But discipline, that lasts. It's not about being invisible forever. It's about becoming undeniable. Quiet doesn't mean small, it means focused. And focus, that's what separates you from the ones who burn out. You're not chasing attention, you're earning respect, day by day, action by action. And one day, you'll return, not to prove them wrong, but to prove yourself right. Here's something they won't tell you. The strongest people you know, they've mastered the art of disappearing, not running away, but stepping out of the noise. While everyone is obsessed with being seen, they're obsessed with building in silence. You know how iron gets forged? In heat, in pressure, but most of all, in quiet. No audience, no applause, just raw fire and focused work. That's your phase right now. You're not falling behind. You're getting dangerous. You're collecting discipline like most collect distractions. You're building patience like others build playlists. Every minute you don't waste explaining yourself. You invest in becoming more. And that's what makes you different. Because here's the hard truth. Most people want to look successful. Stoics, they'd rather be unshakable. Not for the world, but for themselves. They don't trade attention for peace. They choose solitude to sharpen. The power in that choice, massive. There's a storm coming. You feel it too. Not chaos, but clarity. Because once you realize your value doesn't need validation, you get dangerous. You stop negotiating with people who never cared. You stop proving. You start becoming. And when that shift happens, your silence becomes your superpower. It's not about hiding. It's about preparing. Quiet progress, loud results. So go ahead. Let them underestimate you. Let them scroll past. Because when you return, you won't need an announcement. Your energy will say everything. If that hits, don't leave now. Hit that subscribe button. Turn on the bell, because the next part, it goes even deeper, and you'll want to feel every second of it. You know what's wild? People will start noticing your silence before they notice your success. They'll feel the shift in your presence. Not louder, not more visible, just sharper, like someone who's been somewhere most people avoid, inside themselves. See, you've been conditioned to think progress is always loud. Posts, proofs, updates, check-ins. But the Stoics knew real transformation makes no noise. It just shows up in how you carry yourself, in how you don't explain, don't defend, don't seek validation. When you're building something real, peace, discipline, strength, it's sacred. You don't throw it in people's faces. You protect it. You water it in silence. You let it mature underground, like roots before the bloom. And yeah, it gets lonely. But that solitude, it's where you stop borrowing energy from outside and start generating it from within. That's where the shift happens, from looking around to looking in, from chasing applause to chasing mastery. You're no longer proving, you're becoming, quietly, fully, relentlessly. And you know what? That silence, it starts speaking for you. Here's the part nobody talks about. When you come back, stronger, quieter, more grounded, the world doesn't clap. It flinches. Because now you're not trying to prove anything. You're just undeniable. And that shakes people. You're no longer part of the noise. You've become signal. You walk into rooms and people feel the difference, even if they don't know why. It's in your posture, your tone, your restraint. You don't need to dominate. You don't need to defend. You just exist, firm, steady, unshakable. That's Stoic power. It's not bravado. It's not about being cold. It's about being unmovable in a world that's always pushing. You've been through the fire, and you didn't come back loud. You came back real. And what happens then? People start adjusting around you. The energy shifts. The conversations change. Even the ones who used to doubt you now pause before speaking, not because you scared them, but because you centered yourself. And that, to them, feels like gravity. There's a quote, "A lion doesn't need to roar to be feared." Same here. You don't need noise, you need weight, depth, and you've earned it. You didn't take shortcuts. You stayed in the silence. You didn't chase the stage. You built the foundation. And now, you're not back to prove them wrong. You're back to prove yourself right. This is what returning stronger really means. You're not louder. You're truer. And the truth, it echoes. So now you've been quiet, you've worked in silence, you've grown roots deeper than most will ever see. But there's one more shift, the most powerful one. It's not about what you do when you come back. It's about what you don't do. You don't explain. You don't justify. You don't ask for space. You own it. This version of you doesn't seek attention. It commands presence, because now you carry something others don't, inner proof. You've seen yourself broken and rebuilt. That's a kind of confidence you can't fake. It hums under the surface. It pulls people in. But here's the catch. Most people will never understand the work you've done. They'll just say, "You've changed." And they're right. You have. The question is, how much more are you willing to change? How much of your old identity are you still protecting just because it's familiar? Because the next level of growth, it's not louder, it's not prettier, it's emptier, lighter, cleaner. It's where you start letting go, not just of people or places, but of the version of you that needed noise in the first place. So before you scroll, ask yourself, what are you still holding on to? That's already let go of you.